anywhere in the Congress to try to scale back on the right to trial by jury?
Well, first of all, I totally agree on the right of a trial by jury. I think it's essential at both the state and the federal level where it's permitted, but it has not come to my attention that there is any major organized effort to scale back the right of jury trials in our judicial process. I hope that remains the same, but I will be quite vigilant about it.
You mentioned the issue of the firing of U.S. attorneys, and that's something that's been before your committee. Given that it's now a historic look at the firing of 9 U.S. attorneys, do you think it would be similarly fair to look back at the Clinton administration's firing of all of the U.S. attorneys in order to achieve a fair historical look at that issue?
Yes, I do, and we've done that. It is traditional that at the beginning of a president's term, especially if it's a new leader of a different party coming in, that all the attorneys submit their resignations. The thing that's different about the 9 attorneys fired is that they were appointed by the same administration that fired him. And therein lies the question that we are very concerned about. Excuse me. It's, the question was, why were they fired? Since obviously the president has that right. And why were these 9 selected? And just in a nutshell, it seems like in the cases of these 9 firings, there were political considerations. We've had Monica Goodling, who was the political liaison to the White House working in the Department of Justice, testify before us. And Mr. Comey, the former Deputy Attorney General in the Republican administration, and a number of others that have given us reason to be more than just apprehensive about why these particular men and women were given the gate. We know that there were interventions on the part of legislators complaining about some of them, and it has, quite frankly, a political odor that we think is something that should not be buried. And if we are to be fair about it, we've got to take into consideration the practices of all the executive leaders in how they handle the firing and hiring of the 53 U.S. attorneys in the Department of Justice.
Congressman, we have time for just a couple of more, and I think this is an excellent question. Do you think that Congress has lost its nerve in protecting civil rights for fear of being labeled weak on terror? And if so, what do you think it will take to change that?
Well, one of the great things that hang over this whole debate about the balance of protecting against terrorism and civil rights is the fact that if you're for civil rights, maybe you can be accused of being soft on protecting our country because you're overboard on civil rights. It's something that I feel sad about, that we end up going into that direction, because it's this Democratic administration that has fought so hard to fulfill the 9/11 Commission, a bipartisan commission that the President testified before, because we had only enacted part of the things that they thought we ought to be doing. And so I don't think, first of all, that anybody is soft on terrorism, and I think it's a pretty good-sized red herring to bring into a debate like this. And so it's in that, from that perspective, that I don't think we backed away from it a bit. As a matter of fact, the bill that we just passed out, the Restore Act dealing with FISA, brings in more safeguards than ever before, and it was strongly supported in the House, and we have reason to believe that it's going to receive good support in the Senate, and that we will restore some of those protections without compromising our responsibilities to protect and defend the people of the country.
Thank you. And one final question. You raised a number of very provocative and extremely important issues today, and we appreciate that. One member of our audience asks, with regard to the Iraq War, which you referenced, although Congress controls the funding for a war like the war in Iraq, do you agree that the President has the sole right to declare war?
No, I refer the questioner to the Constitution of the United States. Congress has the sole right to declare war, and that's what brings us to the difficulty of what we're doing here. I am very disturbed, and I take with some reasonable doubt that how so many members can now say they didn't know that they were giving, they didn't think they were giving the right of the President to commit a war and declare a war when we never put forward a resolution declaring war. We gave the President enhanced powers to operate as Commander-in-Chief, but that's a lot different from a declaration of war. Franklin Roosevelt came to the Congress to seek a declaration of war for World War II, and we think that you can't come under seeking more authority and then say, now we're in a war, and then, amazing enough, say this is a war without end. It'll be going on. We can't even figure out when it's going to end. Now, the fact of the matter is that individual acts of terrorism have occurred throughout our recent history. Some of them on American soil created huge amounts of terror, but they were done by Americans. We're always fighting terrorism, but it doesn't become, nor does it have to, in my judgment, become a war without end. I think that puts us on the wrong kind of footing, and it's in that spirit that I resisted the resolution that gave the President additional authority in the first place. I thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Great job. Really wonderful. We appreciate it. Careful work. Congressman, we thank you very much for your service to this country, both in the armed forces and in the House of Representatives, and we appreciate you being here. A couple of quick announcements. We have Brit Hume, another in our blockbuster series here. That begins at 11 o'clock. We ran just a few moments late here. We're going to take a break for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then be back for 11 o'clock with Brit Hume. Thank you all.
This afternoon, FCC Chairman Kevin Martin and James Winston of the National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters are part of a forum